Hello, Leo. How are you? This is Lee at Fresh Astrology. So I've had a long morning recording, so I'm hoping my voice will last through this. I've got my ginger vegetable juice, which not everybody loves. I often make juice like this and nobody else will drink it, but it's helping my throat. So I may be drinking it, and it looks kind of vile, but it helps my throat. So anyway, welcome. We're going to talk about your November 2019. What you're watching is actually a live stream video. That means that if you're here when I'm recording it, you can talk to me and interact and ask questions, and I'll try to answer to the best of my ability. And if you're watching after I recorded this, you may see me turn to the side, read something, and talk to people. I'm basically talking to people who are here. Oh, hi. We have somebody from Australia. Well, hello. Is it early morning there? What time is it there? Yeah, morning. Yeah, I guess that's morning. For me, it's still morning. It's actually afternoon, but I think it's morning. But hello, Australia. It's good to see you here. And let me know if you have any. Oh, 5 a.m. Goodness gracious. Early riser. Early bird gets the worm, if the worm is what you want. So, Leos, I have just a couple of announcements before we get started. I have been for like 10 plus years, I've been at freshastrology.com. And I have now moved my astrology stuff over to be on the same site with my coaching stuff. But they're two distinct kind of pages. And on one, it's more about coaching, really the main page is about coaching. And then you'll see at the top, membership lounge, and that's for astrology. And there, it's something you can join. It's kind of like here. It's set up like YouTube, where you can watch videos, forecast for the coming month, forecast for the coming year, forecast for the coming week, some light, basic astrology lessons. And members can also get selected kind of randomly each month for free reading. So come join us there. I do all the forecasts there first, so they get the first opportunity to get them, and they're a little more in depth. And we'd love to have you join us. So let's look at your month, Leo. November 5th, we've got Mars square Pluto. So let's take a look at where that is in your chart. And when you listen to astrology, squares can sound like they're bad, that there's like good and bad, but they're not always bad. Trines are not always good. Squares are not always bad. And the same goes for the rest of them. It really depends on the person, how you've been using the energy, how much you've learned, because here we have Mars is square Pluto, but it also kind of sort of Saturn, because it's almost like Pluto and Saturn are this one big, like mega planetary energy. And, so it's vibing with both those. And, if you've been really working your Saturn and your Pluto and Capricorn and kind of gaining mastery over this energy, which I would submit to most everybody who listens to me that you probably have. If you've stuck with me, because I talk a lot about like energy and how you're evolving, people who can listen to that are probably doing that. They're probably working on their energy and working on kind of self-improvement and evolving and trying to figure out their best path and their purpose. There's a certain kind of person who's here and who hangs in through my forecast. So I'm assuming that most of you have been working your Saturn and Pluto. You, even though it's a tough energy, it's not always easy, that you've been learning how to make it work better for you. You've been learning, okay, this doesn't work. This doesn't work. Okay, this seems to work. Now I have a plan. I'm going to try to stick to my plan. If you've been doing all that, the square isn't necessarily a bad thing. You may feel a bit of a challenge. It seems like possibly in November, there's a lot of fast communication going on, possibly at work, maybe with a family member about health. Maybe, let's see, I'm a rising Leo and I know I'm adopting a dog. So sixth house, I almost never mention it because I haven't had a pet in a few years, but um, I'm going to adopt a greyhound. And so I'm looking at this thinking, well, I'm going to be kind of challenged to take care, because you bring in a dog into your home and or any pet, and you have to adjust. You've got more stuff you have to do. There's more running around, more walking the dog. So that's one example from my life. So for you, it could have something to do with your work schedule, commuting, getting from place to place, juggling a lot of emails and communications. Um, And the way the Leah's been kind of where you've been impacted by Pluto and Saturn, it is in your daily life. It's your habits. It's how you're building your life to support you. And what you've learned is what doesn't work for you. Like, maybe, I don't know what your situation is, but maybe staying up really late every night doesn't support you and you've had to, move your bedtime earlier or something. Maybe saying yes to everything isn't good for you. Maybe you've learned you have to say no to a lot of stuff and disappoint people and just be okay with that and try to live with that because it's hard to feel like you're disappointing people. Maybe you've had issues with pets. Maybe there's been some kind of growth there in terms of, some of you may have elderly pets or something like that. But there's also a lot here about your job because you also have Uranus. We're not going to talk about Uranus a lot, but because I see Uranus up there, right, on your midheaven, and I see this going on here, it makes me think that November is maybe a busy feeling month where your inbox is overloaded or you just find you're running around a lot and that maybe you really have to put to the test the kind of strategy, health strategy and healthy habit strategy. You have to really stick to it and put it to the test and be kind of more regimented than Leos like to be around your scheduling is one guess, is the guess. Because some of you have had health challenges or maybe somebody like a parent or a child with some health challenges. And that ultimately is also draining for you. How do you manage all of that? So here, what it makes me think is this is a month where, you're going to be juggling a little bit and just kind of working your wisdom around what you've discovered works for you and doesn't work for you and how to manage your time is just a part of this. So let me see if there are any questions so far. Okay, so is it Mons Hill? I don't know how to Mons Hill. I'm Capricorn, 26 degrees, 6th house. Yeah, so this is also personal to you, Leo rising. Yeah, so it's going to be a very interesting year for you. What do you have on the horizon that you know about? Because like most of us understand what is going on with our Pluto Saturn. We understand at least on one or two levels because these houses and areas of the chart are multi-layered. So we may not understand all of it, but we understand at least on some levels what's been going on here for us. So like what's been going on for you, I would ask. Where do you see it and understand that it's impacting you? And what have you learned during all of this Pluto Saturn stuff? What have you been learning about yourself? Yeah, 2008 was a pivotal year when it was a weird turning point for many people where a lot of people lost everything. I totally get that. So you've been rebuilding, is my guess. But it's been slow. It's wherever Pluto is, wherever Saturn is, it feels just achingly slow. But people should be feeling right about now, after like a decade under your belt, that health company, sun trauma work. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so see how it's multi-layered, and that's a lot when you think about it. Like that's a lot of stuff to be hit with. So she's saying her health, her company, son, maybe the son's trauma, and then work. Yeah, that's a lot. And so definitely one good thing about astrology is it lends validation to hardship. We don't need it so much when things are going well. We don't need that validation. We're just happy things are going well. But when things haven't gone well and things have been a struggle, one thing astrology can do is just validate, like, yeah, the struggle's real. What you have experienced, although you know it's real, it's not just you. It's not something wrong with you. It's not that you make bad choices. You've been kind of put through the school of life in a certain way that it's tempting sometimes to want to look at that and look through the lens of, um, it's tempting to want to look through the lens back at all that stuff that happened and say, boy, did life sucks. It's been so unfair to me. This shouldn't have happened. It's very human and tempting. What Saturn and Pluto want you to do, though, is to, yeah, like soul healing. I see that standing out in your comment over here, is to find ways to basically be a phoenix, to rise from the ashes. And so humans are enormously capable of doing this, of phoenixing and totally burning to ash, your life totally feeling like it was destroyed and you lost everything. And it's amazing how we can become the phoenix and we can rise and fly again. And that's kind of what Pluto and Saturn are hoping that you'll do. And it's just how can you reframe the past to see some of it as beneficial. And I know it's especially challenging when you have a child, anybody who's had trauma or you've had trauma. It's hard to see the benefit, but when we look, we can find it. And that is kind of that school of life, learning to look at it a different way so that we can learn from that situation or take the good from it. We're being very challenged to do that. So let's go to the full moon on November 12th. The full moon is hitting across the Scorpio-Taurus axis. This is your 10th and 4th house. So again, we have this theme of work versus home and family, maybe some parenting issues. This could be your own parents or you as a parent. But it seems to me with Uranus at the top of the chart, and even though, even if you're in retirement age or at an age where you wouldn't think career would be such a big deal, maybe you've decided you're going to retire, or maybe you just don't work. What Uranus is asking up here at the top of the chart, even though I'm not really supposed to talk about Uranus, I'm just supposed to talk about the full moon, is for you to, in this case, with this full moon, it's almost like you've got to make a change with home or work so that you can move forward. And it may be that you're working from home so that you can move forward, or because remember, we were talking about this commute and running around. Maybe for a while you've got to work at home. For some of you, that would be relevant. For some of you, you've got to travel for work. There's going to be a kind of a tug, push and pull here. Some of you may end one and lean more to the other. You may end the excessive travel and lean more toward just staying at home in one place. Or it may go the opposite direction. It may switch suddenly. And definitely you're going to feel mid-month kind of a little bit of a tug of war between matters of the home, matters of work, and what pulls you out into the world. It also feels like if you're standing at a crossroads, I think I said the same thing to Aquarius, because you guys are on opposite sides of the chart. It's like you're standing at a crossroads, and for real in life. And when you have the fourth house of the past in your history kind of behind you, or hopefully behind you, and you've got this future, something pulling you out into the world, something calling you. It's like a calling. Sometimes we can just be like our feet are glued to that place in the like that spot in the middle of the crossroads, and we can't seem to move forward or sideways or even backward, or maybe we feel like we're moving backward, or maybe we feel like we're just moving sideways, yet we feel like we're pulled forward, but we can't. It's like, if imagine your feet are really glued to the pavement and your upper body's being pulled, and it's kind of this tough thing for you to kind of work out for yourself. How can you let go of the past or family obligation or ideas about what you should be as a man or a woman, meaning like whatever role you think you're supposed to play? You may need to put some of these ideas and belief systems down to unload yourself so that you can make space for whatever is new in your life. Sometimes we can't be a phoenix until we are released from some things. And we often jail ourselves and glue ourselves to the pavement. And so I think there may be some kind of internal understanding of, because the full moon can cast light on and illuminate. Maybe you'll gain some understanding of how you glue yourself to the pavement, how you become your own jailer. How can you free yourself from whatever feels like stuckness or prison? So some Aquarians were saying they literally felt like they were in prison. That's the experience of what they're feeling right now. So how are you feeling, Leo? What's keeping you stuck? What from your past can you put down so that you can more, fly like a phoenix? What can you do here? Addiction. Somebody here, Mons Hill has all addictions you've released over the last 10 years. Beautiful. Yeah, that's a perfect example of that sixth house, doing that kind of release work. Farzana says, hi, Farzana. It's so good to see you here. Mars retrograde in Leo, opposed Sun, Saturn and Sun. Okay. Well, Aquarius Sun, really true. So Farzana, what would you put down from the past? Do you see how you could free yourself or open the prison doors for yourself or unglue yourself from the pavement? Do you see how you might be able to do that? Or does that resonate with you? Farzana was actually in one of my classes, right? And so you understand my language a little more than most. So how would you free yourself? Do you see a way to do that? Yeah, I thought it was you. Yeah, so you understand the way I talk and the way I think. Thank you, sweetie. So how can you free yourself? How can you free yourself? That feeling of being stuck. Do you feel stuck? Like, is that a part of what you're feeling as a Leo? Or like you have been stuck? Hopefully Leos are feeling like they can move forward. But I think this full moon is about learning what to leave in the past, even if it's just a belief system, a way of looking at something. And then so I see Farzana is going to say something, but I'm going to just keep talking while you're typing. So then on November 24th, we have Venus conjunct Pluto. So let's talk about that. For Leo, this is happening at the very, very end of the degrees in the fifth house in Sagittarius. And it's right on the doorway of the sixth house of work or health or pets. So there's something here toward the end of November that's really promising. If you have a child, something really wonderful for a child. If it's a creative project, like you're writing something or creating anything, there's this true moment of joy here, a moment of financial promise and abundance from something you've created. So again, it could be book, a painting series, recipe, video, I don't know, anything, that you've created. It could be a company that you've been building and working on. It could be a launch of a company product. Um, so there's this really nice moment toward the end of the month where things really come together. Now, in your love life as well, because this is in the fifth house, you have the sun newly in Sagittarius. You have Mercury now turned direct. You have this beautiful conjunction here, kind of bookending the sun in the fifth house. And so there's a possibility here for maybe meeting somebody. Maybe you meet someone wonderful, unexpectedly, very unexpectedly. So if you do meet somebody new, it's totally unexpected. You did not see it coming. You can't see it coming. There's also, if you have been dating somebody, it may be more of a commitment. Maybe more of an announcement about committing, a commitment, something like that. Maybe to the parents, which usually is what people do. Let's see, what else? Then we have, but just so you know, just in case you didn't pick up on it, Jupiter and Venus together are usually quite lovely. Not in 100% of the cases, but generally speaking. And then we have 2 days later, the new moon in Sagittarius, which again is right there at the beginning degrees. And it's almost like bookending this Jupiter-Venus thing. You have the moon coming over the sun in Sagittarius. And so it points toward the new start with so a new phase, a new start in romance with kids, with a project, something you're creating. So it's an exciting fifth house time. And, the fifth house is fun for everybody. It's a fellow, for Leos, Sagittarius is a fellow fire sign. And because even though Uranus is in Taurus, it's close enough to the end degrees of Aries where it's in a trine relationship to this Jupiter and Venus conjunction. So something really nice maybe in your career or a love life announcement or something like that. And maybe a child, a child could be experiencing something really nice at this time. And it could be all those things, it's usually not just one thing. So let me see if Farzana finished what she was saying. Okay. So Farzana is saying, okay, so Monsil says, my creativity has been stuck. Okay, good to know. And Farzana says, hard to do that. Family obligation, Libra moon, as you said, feeling sad. Aquarius sun, feels like I am in jail and nothing moves. Yeah. Lots of work every day, the same work. Yeah, and that does, when you have like just loads of work every day, it starts to feel like prison, like this conveyor belt or this thing you can't get off, you can't exit. And sometimes it's helpful to know that it's not just you. It's not that something's wrong with you, that somehow you've done something bad to get here. It is an energy that's in your life. And in the life of Leos and Aquarius, you both are kind of experiencing like the flip side of the situation. And Farzana here, shares both. So I guess what I would say to all of us, and don't forget, I'm a rising Leo too. So what's worked for me is to really learn to say no. And that's hard. It's really hard to say no to things. And this could be anything from, going out, like, it's really hard. Like, I work a lot and I would love to see my friends, but for me to take care of myself, I have to really limit how I socialize, which is extraordinarily difficult to do because I love my friends. I want and my family. I'd love to see everybody, but I have to limit the time. And I have to put such hard boundaries on talking on the phone. I don't even go on Facebook anymore. And so for me, it's been a matter of really getting a handle on my schedule and being really, really, really like a prison warden of my own schedule. That's maybe an unpleasant way to put it, but I've become much stricter about scheduling stuff. And I've gotten way better at scheduling myself because I used to be a disaster at it. It used to be really hard for me to schedule myself. But over the last 10 years, I've like a different person. I'm a different person in terms of doing that. And I'm better at creating boundaries to protect my health and my own well-being and my schedule. Yeah. So I think for all Leos, there's something there for all of you, and for Azana, you too, to be really careful to take care of yourself. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Good. Well, let's talk. The new moon? Yeah, I did cover that. Yeah, it's like the bookend. So, this is actually, November is actually a good month. There's an opportunity here to begin to build a sense of joy, freedom, creativity, explore your creativity, and understand sometimes if we've been traumatized or felt stuck, and certainly with Pluto and Saturn, for everybody in one area or two areas of life, maybe more, it's felt like things are just stuck and they'll never change. And it's important right now more than ever to really try to open the door for possibility, for things to flow again, for things to get really good again. Start opening yourself, because this is truly, I'm not kidding when I say it's 99.9% of the work is just shifting your belief system from, it's just stuck, I don't know, it's not changing, to, all right, I'm open to the possibility of positive change. And I'm just going to try. And I was having this conversation, I think, with all the Aquarius people earlier. I stayed on with them because they were especially struggling. I could tell in their comments that, and someone there said, that she gets up every morning, because we were talking about like coping skills. How do you cope with this energy? And how do you keep shifting your attitude and the way you look at things? And I said, I do it daily. I do it all day long, every day. And someone on a cute Aquarian person said, I get up and I congratulate and celebrate every small victory through the day, like just making the bed. And as silly as that sounds, and as that does not sound maybe to some people like that would change your life, but that kind of thing, and she said it totally changed her life. And because I actually do the same thing, that's a part of my own self-coaching. I celebrate tiny little things all the time. And I have a lot of little coaching practices I do daily, all day long. So it takes work. It's not easy. It's not like you just flip a switch and everything looks great. I have to work on this all day long, every day, but it has changed my life. And I've been able to do amazing things because of it. And I just feel better. Scheduling. Yeah. Good. So, we can see how Leos are vibing with this whole scheduling thing and, feeling stuck, and there are issues with boundaries. So this is kind of where I think the meat of it is for the Leo. And just know that you absolutely can create change in your own life, even with all this energy there. And you're I would probably, if I worked with each one of you like one-on-one, I would be able to point to, like, see where you're stronger here, like see how you built a foundation out. And you would, and so I encourage you to see it for yourself, since we can't work one-on-one. Really, really, really Look at how much you've grown over the last decade. See how you've strengthened. See how you've totally changed, and honor that, celebrate that. That's a big celebration. So honor yourself, honor how much you've changed, honor how much you've strengthened, and celebrate. And then maybe take a page out of my book. And I think it was Laura, who was the Aquarius, who said that she celebrates even tiny things like making the bed. Like maybe try that trick. Like I literally do this for myself all day long in my head. I coach myself through the day, and it's totally changed my life. So it's good seeing everybody here. Farzana, so good to see you. Yeah, I will. Actually, I'm sending out an email to your group. So be on the lookout for that. You just reminded me I wanted to send that. All right. Take care, everybody.